Hey guys, welcome to Dan and Bryn Start a Gym. Glad you could be here. We're gonna make this a quick one today for the most part because, well, frankly, I'm a little at loss for words. I'm not quite sure where to go with today's conversation. However, I will tell you we're in a different gym, a gym that we're not typically in. This is the lovely Garpal High School gym. It's new from, this is the first year they'll be able to use it. You'll notice that it's relatively empty. It's got squat racks and barbells and some weights, and so limited equipment, which is okay because, well, over the years I have worked on practicing exercise, not on using exercise as a means to an end, but exercise is the end, not the means. And so I'm able to do a lot with very, very little. And for the most part, a barbell with some weights on it is all I really need to have a lot of fun in the weight room and make sure that my exercise is done correctly and effectively for what my goals are. And so, speaking of goals, we want to go back over exercise a little bit and talk about intensity yet again. Last time we talked about intensity, we talked about that 90%, pushing yourself to that extreme. Now there's an exception to that particular rule that we didn't go over at that time. And the exception to that rule is if you're just starting exercise, if you're brand new to exercise, if you're exercising to that 90%, you're going to start seeing results. But if you don't have the habit yet of exercising, if there's some sort of end point in your mind, like I'm going to stop exercising as I hit a certain point or I hit a certain goal, then you're going to never be successful with it. You have to think about it as a learning curve, as a habit. We want to change those paradigms. We want to change our principles and our practices. If you want to change physically, if you want to be different, you have to do different things. You have to be a different person. So what I want you guys to do right now is I want you to close your eyes. I want you to think about your perfect body or whatever it is you wish you could look like, okay? Imagine it. Don't try to lie to yourself. Don't try to pretend to be something that you're not. Close your eyes. Envision what you are, who you are, what you look like in the perfect world. Now ask yourself, what does that person do? How does that person exercise? How much TV does that person watch, perhaps? What kind of food does that person eat, okay? That person is different than you are right now. And you have to try to think about the different things that they're going to do to be successful so that you can become that person later. And that's really, really important. You don't have to try to change it all at once, at one time. It's small, steady changes over and over again. So going back to the intensity thing, it would be better to start off at 60 or 70% exercise, or even 50% for that matter, and do that over the course of years and years and years. You would progressively see more and more progress, and you would ramp up to that 70, 80, and 90% intensity level that you would like to. If you exercise at 70% effort and intensity over the course of one full year, you'll get more progress than someone who does 90% or 110% exercise if they end up stopping at 12 weeks. Now, why would the person at 90% or 100% intensity stop at 12 weeks? Well, because they burn out, they get injured, their motivation starts to wane. But if you start taking slow, steady habits, you don't have to make them all today, but you do have to continually make progress. You have to understand that, hey, if I close my eyes and the person that I envision that I really, really want to be is a thinner version of me, one with less body fat, more muscle, that person probably doesn't drink very much alcohol, right? That person probably doesn't eat a lot of sugar. That person doesn't do those things. If I do those things now, I need to work on changing the habits to do that. I'll end up not eating quite as much sugar, quite as much things of that nature. Now, when it comes to exercise, start off with the basics. Remember, there's only 5 human movements, okay? You can only do 5 things with your body. You can push, pull, bend at the hip, bend at the knee, and twist or anti-twist. And I know some of you are going to get a little confused about the anti-twist, but anti-twist is just the opposition to twisting, and so which means you're opposing a twisting movement of some sort. Now you can do those movements in different ranges of motion. You can combine multiple movements to create a plethora of exercises and movements, but if you just think about those 5 things, push, pull, bend at the hip, bend at the knee, and twist or anti-twist, Brent's giving me the time thing saying I need to speed up or cut it off early. But if you end up doing one of those 5 things and just practice getting better at those movements, you're going to start seeing a lot of progress over time. It might start off slow, but as you get better, it starts to become easier over the course of a year or so. All of a sudden, you squat like a toddler again, which is fantastic. Because remember, squatting is an infantile movement, and if you don't use it, you lose it. And all of a sudden, if you can't squat well, then you have back problems, you have knee problems, so on and so forth. And I know what some of you are thinking, if I squat below parallel, I'm going to have bad knees, but that's not the case at all whatsoever, okay? If you have bad knees because you think you squat below parallel, then you're wrong. Your squat below parallel is terrible, and that's what's giving you bad knees, okay? And so I say, nay, it's not you who have bad knees and why you cannot squat. You cannot you have bad knees because you do not squat well, and that's really important. I've kind of side-trailed a little bit. We are going to end up going into those things later. Bye.
He is going into those things later. He said this video was going to be 2 minutes long. Now it's going to be 6 minutes long pretty soon, so I'm just going to cut it off. Have a great day, and we'll be back with more later.
Please subscribe.
Thanks for watching Dan and Brent Start a Gym. See you later.
Please subscribe.